Thank you so much for joining us today for the Harbor College Transfer Center workshop on associate degrees for transfer. This is brought to you by Harbor College Transfer Center. My name is Ms. Natalie Parra, and I'm going to be going over what it means to get an associate degree for transfer. So at today's agenda, we're going to be discussing the benefits of the associate degree for transfer, planning transfer with the ADT in mind to increase opportunities, become familiar with ADT majors, and learn how ADT overlaps with UC. So what exactly is an associate degree for transfer? An associate degree for transfer is also known as an AAT or AST. And what it is, it's an Associate of Arts for transfer or Associate of Science for transfer, depending on the major. So for example, there's the History Associate of Arts for transfer, and there's a Math Associate of Science for transfer. We call it ADT, Associate Degree for Transfer, because it just depends on the major, whether it's AAT or AST. So that's just a technical thing. The major requirements is that it meets major prep for multiple CSU campuses, so long as the degree is deemed similar, and we'll talk about that too. And the ADT also meets general education requirements. So earning an ADT means you have also met lower division general education for a Cal State and a UC, depending on the situation. And think of an ADT as transfer security. Many guarantees are associated with the degree to increase admission to CSU campuses with structured requirements. And students love it because once you get that degree, you're like, wow, I have so many options. It's all right in front of me, and it was a very simple list of classes. So what are the benefits of earning an associate degree for transfer? Number one is GPA bump, meaning your grade point average is evaluated with a bump or increase because you're getting the degree. Number two is your guaranteed admission to a CSU campus. Not necessarily the campus of your first choice, but you're guaranteed a spot at one CSU. And then lastly, you're guaranteed graduation from a CSU in 2 years, which is awesome. We all want you to graduate from a CSU in 2 years and get your bachelor's degree so you can get that jump start that you want from your education. So how can the ADT or associate degree for transfer increase my GPA? So when you are applying to a campus that is impacted outside of your local area, the campus will see your GPA as a 0.1 bump. What does that mean? So in this picture, we have Cal State Long Beach, so we'll use them as an example. Cal State Long Beach, for most of my students, are outside of their local area, unless you graduated high school from Millikan, Poly, Jordan, to name a couple of schools, right? You had to be going to a Long Beach Unified High School and get your diploma from Long Beach Unified to qualify for Long Beach Promise. Most of my students are LAUSD grads. So when you apply to Cal State Long Beach, since you're considered non-local and all of their majors are impacted, you'll get a 0.1 GPA bump. So let's say I'm applying with a 3.4 GPA for my transfer GPA. Cal State Long Beach will evaluate it as a 3.5, so that does help. Now, if you're applying to an impacted CSU campus in a non-impacted major, you will be awarded a 0.2 GPA bump for admission decisions. So what's an example of that? An example might be Cal State Northridge. Let's say that some of their majors are impacted, some of their majors are not impacted, which is true. If you apply to, let's say I'm applying as a history major and history is not impacted, and I still have a 3.4 GPA. Northridge will evaluate my GPA as a 3.6 because you get 0.2 GPA bump. So it's really helpful, and it just really makes transfer much more successful, attainable, and friendly for students. You also get guaranteed admission to a CSU campus. So admission is guaranteed to a campus, usually a non-impacted campus, to a major deemed similar to your ADT from Harbor College. So what would be an example of a non-impacted campus? Channel Islands is one that usually does redirection. That's close by. Dominguez is also non-impacted. Just to name a couple schools, you'll be guaranteed to at least get into one non-impacted campus by when you apply to Cal State. It would indicate that you're getting an ADT, and they'll allow you to choose one school from their list of redirection campuses. Okay, the next thing, researching your ADT's perfect match at the CSU. So each ADT is matched or deemed similar to CSU degrees. So for example, communication studies at Harbor College is similar to communication studies at Cal State Long Beach. In some cases, a CSU will not be deemed similar to an ADT, and completing courses for the ADT will still make you competitive for multiple campuses, but in some cases, it's not deemed similar. So an example of that might be, for example, a student is getting an ADT in physics or math because they're pre-engineering, and pre-engineering students pretty much are forced to take all physics and calculus classes at Harbor College before transferring. Now you could still get the math ADT or the physics ADT because you're going to take those classes anyway for all the universities for engineering related majors, but it's not deemed similar. So in that case, you aren't necessarily guaranteed priority admission in the GPA bump because it's not a perfect match, but it's still good because you're walking away with a wonderful degree or two that you otherwise wouldn't have, and you're also finishing transfer requirements, which looks great when you're applying for internships as a transfer student at the university. So that's why I like to recommend it still. This is an example here of Harbor College being considered a perfect match to the Long Beach major in communication studies with emphasis in, for example, communication, culture, and public affairs, general communication studies, and interpersonal and organizational communication. And sometimes bonus majors do match your ADT. So in this example, this occurs because additional majors are deemed similar to various ADTs to provide unique options at various campuses. So in this case, the Spanish AAT at Harbor College is deemed similar to 4 different majors at Long Beach. So if you get the Spanish AAT at Harbor, you can major in Chicano Latino Studies at Long Beach, also comparative world literature, linguistics, and regular Spanish. So for that student, they might say, wow, I'd really like Chicano and Latino studies. Or another student might say, wow, I love linguistics. So there's an option for everybody, but you're getting the same degree and you will have that priority admission consideration. Now, what does the transfer process look like with an ADT? In your first year, you definitely want to research majors, select an ADT. If you need help, of course, ask a counselor. I also like to recommend for my students to enroll in a counseling class such as Counseling 22, which is the transfer process, to learn all about what transfer means and what transfer is going to look like for you as a person who has these goals for themselves in their education. And your second year, maybe third year, maybe fourth year, and so on, we want to look at finding CSU campuses that deem your ADT similar to their major, tour the campuses with the transfer center. October 1st and November 30th of that year, that's pretty much the year before you start at the university in the fall, right? So the year before, you're going to be applying October 1st through November 30th, let's say year 2, to CSU campuses and indicate on that application that you're earning an ADT. You also want to visit the Transfer Center for application help. That's what we're here to do, is make sure that that application is absolutely perfect before you hit submit. And then in spring of your final year at Harbor College, you want to petition to graduate with your ADT. You're going to receive acceptance offers from the CSUs, complete your final semester at Harbor College, and transfer and graduate, because you'll also be getting that degree. So not only are you transferring, but you're also earning a degree and being able to participate in transfer recognition ceremony, graduation. So we do celebrate our students for each accomplishment that they achieve. So when is the ADT most valuable? And everybody will have their own perspective on this. My opinion is it's most valuable October 1st through November 30th, because that's when you're submitting your applications to the universities, and that is when you're going to say, wow, this was totally worth it. So students should definitely apply to multiple campuses. Most of my students, it's fair to say, will get 4 CSU campuses with a fee waiver, because as long as the student meets income guidelines for eligibility, the fees are waived for the application. So let's say I have a student I'm working with. Let's say the student they meet the guidelines for the income, so they get their 4 applications waived. They want to choose the 4 schools, right? We want to make sure that we use them. So maybe their first choice campus is Cal State Long Beach, because Cal State Long Beach is a lot of my students' first choice. And then there's 3 more schools, right? So they might want to pick another impacted campus like Cal State LA. My students love Cal State LA, so that's a good one. Third choice, I recommend at least one non-impacted school. So Dominguez could be one. The fourth one could be CSUN, right? Now, Harbor College students are considered local to Cal State LA and Cal State Northridge. We also have a partnership with Dominguez Hills called Transfer to Success. So that's a really good opportunity for the student to be able to take advantage of local priority as well as partnerships that we have with local schools like Dominguez. And then, of course, Long Beach being the number one campus, even though it's impacted and we're not considered local for the most part unless a student went to Long Beach Unified, you still have that ADT, so you still get that 0.1 GPA bump. You still get that priority admission consideration. So having an ADT similar to all 4 campuses in this example is possible and increases the chance of being admitted. And like I said before, most Harbor College students do qualify for the CSU fee waiver to apply for 4 CSU campuses for free. And my students are normally going, yes, because it is such a big deal to get. Right now, the fee is $70. So to get that waived times 4, $280 in savings is amazing. And that's exactly what we want to see for all of our students. So definitely make sure that you visit us so we can help you make sure that all the math is right on your fee waiver calculator. Now, the next thing I want to show are ADTs available at Harbor College. This is a list that I have that I pulled from our catalog that shows all of our current ADTs approved at Harbor College. And as you can see on the bottom, there are more degrees to come in the future. So to list them out, there's anthropology, communication studies, econ, English, history, journalism, kinesiology, music, psychology, political science, philosophy, sociology, Spanish, and studio arts for the Associate of Art degrees for transfer. And then in our Associate of Science degrees for transfer, we have Administration of Justice, Biology, Business Administration, Early Childhood Education, Environmental Science, Mathematics, and Physics. And when we say there are more to come, it is because each ADT gets approved one by our college, and then it will appear in the catalog and students can start earning that degree. So we're really excited about all ADTs that we have to offer because we are a very transfer forward campus and we put transfer first for our students. So this is actually a really high number and we want to keep it going, but I hope that you see one ADT on here that looks like it might be a great fit for you. Now, what's the difference between the regular degrees that we have at Harbor College and an ADT degree? That's what a lot of my students ask me. So we'll go over that really quickly. So Associate of Science degree in Business Administration, for example, is listed here. This is from our catalog. So as you can see, you need 41 major classes in order to earn this degree and 18 units of GE. So 23 units of core, that's Accounting 1, Business 5, Business 31, Business 32, Business 38, and Computer Information Systems 101, plus 18 units of electives. So you have 18 units to choose from here. So this whole list, for sure, plus 18 units from this list. So that's where the 41 comes from. So as you can see, this will take a student quite some time to finish up. Now when we look at an Associate in Science and Business Administration for transfer, the major requires 29 units. The required core are Accounting 1 and 2, Business 5, Econ 1 and 2, Stats, Math 227, Business 1, 432, Computer Information Systems 101. So as you can see, the core, not too crazy. List A, just fine, and then 2 classes from here. So 29 major units. It's actually very much shorter than the 41 here. And these were actually made to finish in 2 years. So we'll just go over a little compare and contrast now. So the regular ADT, the regular AA degree does not meet transfer curriculum for multiple universities. It can require more units in order to be completed. It may require more time to complete the actual degree too. And there is no guaranteed admission to CSU, no GPA bump, no priority admission consideration. And why these are 2 separate points is because there is a guarantee to at least one campus, but then on top of that, the campuses that you aren't guaranteed admission to will still also put you in priority for admission consideration. Now for the ADT, it does meet requirements for many CSUs and UCs for transfer. You also get the GPA bump between 0.1 and 0.2 depending on the campus and the impaction. It's also guaranteed admission to at least one CSU. Normally requires between 18 to 25 units. In the example that we showed for business administration, it was 29, but it's around there. It's never in the 40s. And it's developed to be completed in 2 years from start to finish, and you'll receive priority admission consideration. And then students often ask me, what if I'm also considering UC transfer? You can still plan for both UC transfer and associate degree for transfer degrees. There is definitely overlap between UC major prep and various ADTs. And for the STEM majors, the UC and CSU bound STEM majors requiring calculus and physics are often eligible for the math and physics ADTs too. So it works out really well for the students that want to do, for example, engineering. They're able to get both the math and physics ADTs. And then when it comes to IGETC, you can use IGETC with your associate degree for transfer to meet UC and CSU lower division general education. And you'll also still need to complete a communication class. But that's the good thing about the ADT is that you can finish GEs for UCs, Cal States, plus you'll get that degree, and it also works really well for major prep. And of course, you're always welcome to contact us. We love encouraging our students to reach out to us on Instagram at LAHC Transfer Center. We also have our wonderful Grad Guru app. If you don't know about the Grad Guru app, you can download it on your smartphone, and you'll be able to get really good notifications from Harbor College regarding reminders to apply for financial aid, reminders to visit the Transfer Center for a counseling appointment, special deadlines coming up. So I definitely recommend that you download the Grad Guru app and search for LA Harbor College as your college, and you won't regret it. I even have it myself, and I just find it extremely helpful for me and for students. And then, of course, we have our phone number, which is 310-233-4282. You're always welcome to give us a call. So thank you for joining us, whether on Instagram or YouTube, or, of course, in person with us. And I'm going to take questions from our students.